Hey everybody, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. I hope you're having an excellent day. I know I am, and I wanted to show you something about using distortion or lo-fi plugins on your virtual instruments in your DAW. This doesn't matter what DAW you're using, the concept is the same. So many of these samples, maybe you get a virtual instrument that's a sampler of everything from pianos to strings to drums, or maybe you have your favorite synths or your favorite drum patches, whatever they may be. You can make them a little more interesting with some distortion because all of these patches, all of these samples generally are very clean. They're very pristine and they sound great out of the box, but they sound pretty vanilla sometimes. They sound like you'd expect them to sound. And so what I like to do sometimes, and it depends on the song and the mix to which degree I do this, but sometimes I just like to reduce the quality of them a hair with a lo-fi or distortion plugin just to make them more interesting. So I was doing a mix recently, and this was definitely the case at the end of the song. There was an outro. It's all electronic samples to build sort of this outro part, and it was sounding very pristine when the parts were recorded, and it was the right idea, but it didn't have the vibe, it didn't have any energy, it didn't have anything unique to it, and so I used a lot of distortion to bring that in. I just wanted to show you as an example. This might give you some ideas of what you can do if you're not already doing this in your sessions. Take a listen to what I have here. I've got some pads, synth lead, a synth bass, some weird beeping synth thing, some strings, and then a drum loop that's been time compressed and expanded so it sounds a little jacked up, and then there is a voiceover and you can hear it all together clean and a little too squeaky clean.
The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. Yet the world did not know him.
All right, so they're all the parts working together. And then this is what they sound like when I have all these plugins on them, okay? Some lo-fi, some distortion, and a couple of fuzz things I'll show you in a minute. Same parts.
The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. Yet the world did not know him.
Okay, so way cooler. It's way different too, so it depends on what you're going for, and I've used a lot of distortion. But let me show you what some random lo-fi and distortion plugins can do to a sample. For instance, take just this pad, okay? This pad by itself sounds like this. Really shimmery. I love how it just sort of envelops and opens up. It gave some movement. But listen to what happens when we put this fuzz wah plugin that's built into Pro Tools. This is one of the Air plugins. If you have Pro Tools and you haven't messed with any of these Air plugins, do yourself a favor and mess around with them. It's basically a wah-wah effect with a distortion built in that you can turn on or off. And so it's distortion with wah-wah. So take a listen to it when I bring it on. Right, so two things are happening. One, it's becoming mono. It's just what's happened with the envelope here, and I kind of liked it for this mix. It kept it focused up the middle. And two, it takes that cool, beautiful, shimmery pad, and it makes it gritty, and it creates this sort of like this wave, this washing going back and forth, which creates some tension, and all with just a nasty plugin. So it made that nice patch, which was built out of Expand, which is included in Pro Tools. It's Up to the Sky is the pad. Preset. So I just pulled a preset, played the part, and slapped on the fuzz wah to make it dirty. Same thing with this lead part here. Take a listen to it without. This is the lo-fi plugin in Pro Tools. It's pretty subtle. So here's clean, and a little bit of saturation and distortion. You lose some of the high end, so you lose some of that clarity, but it just kind of it just gets to you a little bit more, and it sounds less perfect out of the box. It sounds more analog. The string patch, let's listen to it. Right? Just makes them a little bit more fake sounding in a good way, a little more analog-y. This is just too shimmery for me. It's just too clean. And again, your genre, your mix is going to have to determine that. The drum loop, the drum loop is just a combination of a distortion, amp modeling plugin, and a little bit of EQ to roll off some of the low end. So take a listen to it without. All right, real common. Just take out some of the low end. Just makes it really gritty. That was an effect I wanted. And then even his reading of the scripture here, he's real clean, and there's a little bit of delay that I'm busing him to a delay.
The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world.
You can even hear my bad edits.
He was in the world, and the world was made through him.
Distortion.
Yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him.
So this is cool. Again, this is a dynamic delay plugin, but it's really just a really gritty delay that creates a thin feedback, which affects the overall tone of his voice. So it goes from clean and full to distorted and just almost annoying, but almost like it's in space. So all of this sounds subtle or maybe not so subtle, depending on what your tastes are. But in the mix, you can go from really pristine everything. Turn all these off.
The true light, which enlightens everyone,
To dirty.
was coming into the world. He was in the world,
And the world was made through him. Yet the world did not know him.
So it just gives you some things to play around with. Every DAW is going to ship with some kind of distortion, some kind of lo-fi plugin. I mean, they're not doing anything special. And if you don't have one, see what you can get for free see what kind of demos you can get. I'm not talking about a really expensive effect. I'm talking about something that reduces the quality of your tracks. And if you do this, especially on these virtual instruments, as they add up, you might take these perfectly clean samples that sound fine, and you might just give them that edge, which makes them unique to your track, to your mixes, and might make them sound a little more real, a little more analog, and less like they're shimmery and right out of the box. Hope that helps you guys. Again, this is Graham here at therecordingrevolution.com. Hope you make some great music this week, and we'll definitely see you on another video soon.